the very first scene of the show will set the tone for this series.
Some really panic-induced, unsettling, secondhand embarrassment type of vibe, and you just staring at the screen watching like, I can't believe this is happening.
There's going to be a lot of moments just like that one that'll either just teeter you on the edge of cringe where you still want to enjoy it or just completely knock you off the boat.
Hello and welcome to the movie podcast review of The Curse. My name is Daniel. I am one of your hosts today, and joining alongside me are my two curses. It's Anthony.
Hello, I'm your curse.
And it is Shahbaz. Hello, Shahbaz.
Hey, I'm a curse.
Yeah, oh, you're so friendly about it. Like,
Friendly
yeah,
curse.
I'm
a friendly curse. I'm a friendly
curse.
I'm like, you didn't share this post and then you now have 7 months of bad luck. Like, that's the kind of curse that I am.
Okay, it's not too friendly, though. I mean, that's a lot of months of bad luck, though, still.
7 months, though, out of your whole life? It's not too bad.
Yeah.
That's not even like a percent.
It's a percentage, yeah.
Well,
It's
it's
not one whole percent. Like, it's like a point percent, you know?
But it also depends. That also depends if you know how long we're going to live, because...
I do know.
Okay, that's why you could say that. Okay, so it looks
Daniel,
like we all have long lives coming.
2026 for you isn't looking too great.
Oh, God. I swear to God, Shay, if I do go in 2026...
What are you going to do? Haunt me?
People will remember this episode, and you will be in jail. But before we get to all this, I need to know, do you guys believe in curses?
100%. 100%. Like,
yeah, you're Italian, so you have to.
Italian culture, like the malocchio or like the horns, if someone gives you the... I'm not going to even put it on TV. It's a frame.
We're not on TV. I mean, we could be on someone's TV.
Like, we could. We don't know. But yeah, the curses are a thing. You know, we have salt. You throw salt behind, I guess, the left shoulder when you enter a house, especially a new house or a house that you expected or you think is cursed. There's a lot of things, a lot of traditions in the Italian culture.
Shay, how about you?
You know, I go back and forth with this one all the time. I think there's this like rational part of my brain that's like, no, of course not. And then when something starts to go wrong, I'm like, oh fuck, is it because I didn't share that post? Is it because I didn't add 10? Is it because I didn't add 10 pictures and now I'm gonna have a horrible October?
The tech curses are the worst.
The worst. The chain emails.
The chain emails back in the day. Send this to somebody. Yeah.
I think definitely there's I don't know, man. I want to say that it's all just coincidence, you know, that bad things happen if you will them.
Interesting.
But yeah, I don't know. There's the big part of me also that's kind of like, yeah, I think the easier part of my brain is like, yeah, there's curses.
I'm a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, so I clearly do believe in curses because, you know, it hasn't been a great run for us. But today on the movie podcast, we are talking all about The Curse. This is a Showtime original series, and it's going to be premiering here in Canada on Paramount Plus. I want to say thank you to our friends at Paramount for sending us the episodes for review. We are staying spoiler free today, so do not worry. We will not give anything away. But if you are looking forward to the show, and you should be, it is going to be premiering on Paramount Plus here in Canada on November 10th on Showtime. If you're a subscriber in the States, you could also watch it on November 10th, and then it will be on Sundays, so November 12th, and then every week following that, you'll have new episodes to watch, which is great. Something to look forward to. Let's we're the movie podcast. What do you need to know? There's so much that we talk about here on the show, shows, movies, games. We love doing what we're doing. We're so grateful that you are giving us a platform to talk about what we love. So if you want to know more about us, if you want to follow us on socials, if you want to join our Discord, I think this would be an incredible show to have a Discord chat about. There's going to be a lot of conversations around this one. Make sure you check out our show notes below. You could follow us on all the social media platforms. You could join our Discord. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you are listening to our show, we're so glad that you do. Make sure you drop us 5 stars. Leave us a review. Let us know what you think of this episode because, you know, a like goes a long way. And maybe if you don't, maybe we'll give you a curse. I don't know. Shay just put that out there in the world, so maybe we have the power.
No,
every comment, we curse you. I curse you.
We curse you. He's gonna put like an Italian curse on everybody.
Like,
they just speak Italian. Oh,
it's Italian American.
Nothing worse than that. Nothing worse than speaking Italian.
Excuse me? That's not a curse.
Oh boy.
You said it though.
I said Italian American. They had like, you know, the big loud vocal.
Oh, hey.
Hey,
Yeah.
The Curse is a 10-episode series. Like I said, it's going to be on Showtime. It's co-produced by A24, and you'll be able to watch it here in Canada on Paramount Plus. It is co-created and executive produced by Benny Safdie, who, of course, we know very well this year from. Did he mention Gush Fusions from Oppenheimer? And like he's just showing up. I think he's choosing such great roles and creating such great performances and roles for himself. It's also brought to you by Nathan Fielder, who, if you are a fan of The Rehearsal or any other of his many projects that will make you feel so much secondhand embarrassment, guess what? That is exactly what you'll be feeling while watching The Curse. The series explores how an alleged curse disturbs the relationship of a newly married couple as they try and convince a child, or they trying to conceive a child, while co-starring in their new home improvement show. It also stars Emma Stone, Barkhad Abdi, Corbin, Bernsen, and Constance Shulman. Let's get into it. Again, like I said, we're going to be staying spoiler free here today. Anthony, I would love for you to start us off with your first reactions.
I knew from the first 5 minutes that this was a show and a series that I was just going to have to watch from beginning to end, because it just leads down a path that you are so interested to understand the dynamics of these three characters and where it ends up and what the real story is all about. Because as you go through this episode and as you go through each episode, the first three, we'll say, you start to understand that the dynamics of Benny Safdie's character, Dougie, and Nathan's character, Asher, and Emma's character, Whitney, and how they just kind of like connect with one another, but then tell the story of some really panic-induced, unsettling, cringy, secondhand embarrassment type of vibe. And you just staring at the screen watching like, I can't believe this is happening. And the idea of like, this is a couple that, and it's very relatable in the sense that this is a couple that you might have watched on HGTV. And there's a lot of like social commentaries that kind of go behind the idea of what the curse is, like gentrification, white privilege, the stealing land from the natives and using it to do all these things. It's such a fitting story, and it's also like a story that you just wouldn't expect coming from Benny Safdie. But then when you get into the panic-induced vibes, then you feel it. And then for Nathan's, I know he's a writer on this, he has that social experiment, because I recently watched, not recently, it was a couple of months ago, I watched The Rehearsal, where he kind of gets people to act out scenarios that they might have to do in real life, and they combine these two elements together to tell this story. And you're just like, I need to watch everything, I need to understand what is happening, where it goes. And each episode gets darker and darker and more panic induced and more eerie, and you just can't help but like not stare at the screen. You're just like, I can't believe this is happening, and when I'm watching it. And it's fitting that it's an A24 film, or sorry, A24 series, because we just came off Beef, which had a similar dynamic, but I feel like this one is just very, very particular in how they kind of get these characters to be the way they are. While Beef is more of like a deeper emotional, I guess they're the same in that sense. They do have deep emotional impact to the overall story. But I feel like this just has more cringe than I would get from Beef. And Beef was the last A24 series that came out on Netflix. But the way they're treating the show is very interesting, because they're premiering it at TIFF. They're doing it at film festivals. Not premiering at TIFF, sorry. They're playing it at TIFF Lightbox as the series goes. So they're treating it as more of a cinema experience as well, which is really cool. I like that, as well as having it on TV. I know it's going to be on Showtime and Paramount Plus in Canada. But overall, I am enjoying it. I can't wait to kind of go through all the episodes and probably rewatch again, and just to get the idea and the understanding of what the story is, because it does feel like something that these two creators, I know there's more than two, there's quite a bit, but just the idea of, let's tell a story about these couple reno people who kind of have a curse put on them. A curse. We really don't know. It's like a little girl saying, "I curse you." It doesn't
I
mean
curse you.
doesn't mean
Yeah.
anything. Like I can say
Yeah.
that to you, but does that feed into your neurosis of a person? And just watching their story kind of unfold, and I'm super interested to see what happens at the end on episode 10. And again, 10 episodes, crazy.
When I first saw the trailer for this series, I didn't realize that it was series. I thought it was a movie, and I think it just goes to show like how great the writing and the production and everything looks in this film. But it feels very authentic. It's one of those things that when you're watching it, you're also just like, okay, I get this is a scripted show, but it has such a run and gun feel to it where you're just like, is everyone in on what's going on right now? Because there's such like a blatant just bland to some stuff or to some people that are in the show, like the actors in it outside of Emma Stone and Safdie and um Nathan Fielder, like they feel so just normal and they're going along with whatever these situations are. It feels like when we're watching something like Nirvana the band, the show, or the rehearsal, like who's in on this, who's not on this, because it just feels so natural, but it also feels just very like I'm one of those people that struggle watching like cringy things or secondhand embarrassment things. Like it makes my skin crawl. So watching, episodes of this show has made me go, oh my God, this is really uncomfortable. But I'm also so uncomfortable that I have to keep watching because you almost hate yourself for missing out on it, because just like I need to watch this. And because there's so many parallels to the world that we're in right now with these reality shows and the gentrification of these neighborhoods, and also just like the absolute just insanity that is reality shows now. Like there's a reference in the show that's Benny Safdie's character comes from a world of he's a producer. He comes from a background of like these reality shows, and he showed them like a tape of a reality show that he did where it's like this burn victim trying to find love, and it's just like I believe that would be a show today. And
Yeah,
it's funny that
100%.
we're at a point in the world where we're like that line of parody that would be maybe 10 years ago, we'd be like, yeah, that is so extreme. We're looking at it now, we're like, we're not too far off from that.
That burn victim love finding show I found so interesting because it literally was Love is Blind on Netflix, like it minus the getting all the way up to the altar. I mean, the show is very much already making fun of the stuff that we're kind of already seeing today. I have not watched The Rehearsal. I've seen clips of it online, but I haven't watched the show as a whole. And all this has made me do is like, okay, now I kind of want to go back, watch that show as well once I'm done with this one. Because yeah, like Nathan Fielder is one of those people that I always appreciate because I like his sense of humor. I thought he was hilarious in The Disaster Artist. I think whenever he kind of pops up in other stuff, there's a level of comedy that he brings that it's just so deadpan and it really, really works. So I'm always down for more of that. I think the inclusion of Emma Stone, someone that I never thought, because she's such a big name, someone I never thought what I would see paired up with Nathan Fielder, is such a great dynamic. And it has kind of kept me on my toes throughout the first episode that I kind of watched here. And I was just kind of like, where is this show going to go? Because this one out of all of them also seems like the most scripted in a way. I mean, compared to what I saw from The Rehearsal, but there's still that level that you talk about, Daniel, where it's like, how much are people kind of in on this, and what level are people okay with it? Because it's really good. It's really funny. And overall, the skin crawling feeling that you're kind of getting while watching every kind of moment, you're just like, I want to know what happens next. I still kind of want to see where this goes. There's dark humor to it. There's bodily sexual humor to it too, and a lot of it just kind of works and plays really, really well to these characters. First episode being about an hour long, it flies. At one point I was kind of like, okay, I wonder how much time is left, and I looked, there was like 12 minutes left, and I'm like, wow, I didn't feel that at all. Every scene felt very, very engaging. Benny Safdie is completely just enveloped in the role of Dougie. I think he's such a scumbaggy kind of character and really fits that Hollywood motif that you kind of always see. And it's really, really good. I mean, I'm still so used to seeing him from Oppenheimer right now because that was the last 7 times I watched him doing that movie.
Yeah, he's wearing a fat suit, right? Like, so
right.
I think this,
and I was not used to his voice again.
This was taking place during the same, I don't know exactly the same time, but I think he shot this in New Mexico because he was doing Oppenheimer at the same time. So it's just like, man, you're playing two different types of characters who are completely different.
Very
and,
different.
And you look so different. Because I was saying to Daniel, like, this guy looks like a tow truck driver that I know, not that I know, that's just around my neighborhood that I've seen before. He has like this curly hair, Ed Hardy jacket, you know, like
he's
glasses,
cursed Anthony before. That's why.
Finger rings and all that. Like someone who lives in a different time period. And it's just so funny that he looks like someone you know, and you've seen him before. I think I've seen him many times, many versions.
This is someone we've worked with, to be honest with you.
Yeah, he's 100%. Just so like here at the movie podcast. Was that like our lost fourth member?
Our job before.
Our lost fourth member.
And we were saying
he's just so like slimy and like scummy. You're just like, oh man, like you don't care at all. You don't care. Like he's just so focused on like whatever, man. I'm just it. Anthony, sorry.
I was just saying, we were saying that Benny Safdie is just a guy who, even though he doesn't act a lot, the roles that he picks and the choices that he plays, or the characters that he plays, they're so memorable. And he has like a face that's just lost to time as well. He doesn't have the iPad face, right? Like he can play different people. And we've seen him in Licorice Pizza. We've seen him in Oppenheimer. And what was the movie with the little girl who
Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret?
Yeah, he's in that. Yeah. So it's just it's amazing to see him as
even in Obi-Wan last year, right? Like he's just he just blends into whatever worlds that he's in, and like I think it's so he's choosing such great roles and he's creating such great roles from himself that I hope he continues that. But yeah, Shay, sorry, continue on.
No, I was pretty much kind of towards the end of what I was trying to say, was that this is a show that if you can get past that secondhand embarrassment, that cringe, you're going to have a really good time because you, again, don't know where it's going to go. And it's going to challenge a lot of those beliefs that you have about curses. Like the way I kind of felt while watching it was kind of how I was describing my interpretation of a curse to you guys, where it's like, is it really a curse? Is it really happening? Or is it something that you're just kind of willing upon yourself through your anxious mind that you kind of have? I mean, we're all three of us are very anxious people, so we kind of almost will it sometimes. You know, you're sitting there like, I think they hate me, and it's like that person's just sitting there like, oh, I love this guy so much, and you're just continuing that perpetual narrative forward, and that's what this show kind of is doing, at least so far. I am so excited to continue to see where it goes, what it challenges, and what it tells us about people and their interpretation of curses.
What I find so fascinating too is that, like you mentioned earlier, Shay, that Emma Stone is in this, and Emma Stone is such an interesting choice because she is, you know, an Oscar-winning actress. She is, not that she can't be doing shows or anything like that, but it's such a interesting role, and I think that's what makes it so fascinating. She stands out. She's so good in it because when I see her, I don't see Emma Stone. And in her film projects, I typically do see Emma Stone. And I love Emma Stone. But in this show, I believe that she is Whitney. I believe that she is this character. She has this way of camouflaging herself and believing like these little microaggressions that she does. We're just like, you think that you're helping these people, but you both are some of the most selfish people in the world. You don't realize that you're not doing good here. You're making things worse for everybody. But what I truly think of The Curse is that I think this has the potential to be one of those shows that becomes a phenomenon. And it's going to be a show that I think week to week, especially because it's coming out in the holidays, I think there's going to be people talking about the show every week. And I really hope that it just goes huge, because it's been a long time since we've had a show that's been that water cooler show that people talk about the next day and talk about where could it go from here. We have no idea. And The Curse has all the ingredients of being that show, of being the show that you have to watch every single week because you want to be part of that conversation. And that's why I'm so happy that they're sticking to their weekly release schedule. This is not something that's all coming out at once, because I don't think you would get the same feeling of the show building up week to week of what's been told the week before. I really hope that this show does well because it has that potential. That's why I'm saying we're going to have a Discord chat open for it. Make sure you join us on Discord so we could talk about it, because it's going to be such a fun show to talk about. I really love Nathan Fielder in this. He has like this incredible, like you said, Shay or Anthony, I think it was Shay, this deadpan reactions to everything. And you'll see him when he's talking that you never know where he's going to go next. And that's what's so fascinating about it, because you feel like you know people like him too, where he's socially awkward. or he's playing a socially awkward person, he feels like he could flip on a dime of just like of how he's going to talk to you, and he's just so awkward. Like he's just like in your space where you just feel like, okay, I need to. He'd be the kind of guy that I need to like take a step back whenever he's talking. But he keeps moving 2 steps closer.
Oh yeah, like he's
you know
type,
what I mean?
He's a type of guy that it's just you think you're having a really good conversation, and within 2 seconds he can snap at you, but also he can share like some sort of like innocence to himself, because there's a scene in the subway restaurant where he just has like this weird demeanor that he just has like this forceful, like, I'm giving you something, you need to take it. Like he has like these big eyes. There's also another scene where he's in the car with his wife and he's just like, you shouldn't be talking like that, I should be consoling you. And it's just this weird, and you said it right, like he has like this like social issue with just being able to express himself. So I think getting those types of elements into a story like this, just as okay, these characters are interesting, they're not the typical characters that you would see on TV, it adds a little bit more to why I want to continue watching the show.
Exactly that. And I think you add in, as we've been talking about earlier, Benny Safdie, who is just such a slimy person. You know, there's a great scene that he has in this show, which I won't spoil. Well, there's a lot of scenes in the show that are great, but there are 2 that come to mind. The very first scene of the show will set the tone for this series. So if you can survive the first scene of the show, you're going to be on a ride for the rest of the series.
Yeah,
there's another throughout the rest of the show. There is a lot of moments where this guy just feels that he is someone that I'm like, I don't want to be in a room with you. I don't want to be alone with you because you just give me super ick. It is super cringy. But again, as someone who typically struggles watching stuff that's cringy or like secondhand embarrassment, I've been loving my time with this show so far. It is really, really good. And I think it comes down to performances, to the grander story that they're telling about, you know, really much the state of the world and what we look at on social media and what's going on in these communities, especially what's these rich white people do when they come to communities and gentrify it and turn it into turn these homes into art pieces, and then they price everybody out. It's really fascinating, and I think it's going to be a show that you need to watch, that's going to demand your time, and I cannot wait to see what the conversation is week to week on it. Any other final thoughts before we get to our final recommendations? I'm seeing some smiling, shaking faces, which means it's time to wrap up the show. But Anthony, give us your final recommendation for The Curse.
It's a watch it. Go watch it. Go find it. I don't know what else to say. I don't want to extend. That's it. Leave me alone.
Leave me alone. Get me out of here. I curse you.
I curse you. I curse myself.
I love it. And I know a lot of what we've been talking about today is vague. We've gotten some feedback in the past and recently about being vague in reviews. And it's like, because you're trying to protect your experience of it.
We've seen these episodes. There's no winning.
We've
honestly,
seen these episodes. I'm letting you know.
It blows my mind. People will comment saying you're too vague. And then some people will comment, you spoiled something. And like they'll comment, we spoiled something on like a true story that already has happened in the world. It's like, yeah, we're okay. I don't know what you want.
I can't wait for our Napoleon review when we
oh my god, you spoiled it. He's short. I didn't know that.
Wait, he conquered? He died?
Yeah, it's did. Like there's a fine line, and I think we're teetering right on it of like being spoiler free, but also like talking about this show. So
yeah, because again, like a show like The Curse, like you want to go in not knowing a lot. That's why I'm saying that first scene, I don't want to even tell you what the scenario is.
But then you haven't seen the show, Daniel. You didn't watch it.
Well, you got me.
Too vague.
You got me. Shay, give us your final recommendation for The Curse.
I think watch it. I mean, honestly, like if you watch those first 5 minutes of this show and you're like, okay, this isn't for me, then you kind of know. But 5 minutes of your time you can dedicate to watching something. And if you're like, oh, I gotta know where this goes, I gotta know how insane the show's gonna be, you need to continue, because there's gonna be a lot of moments just like that one that'll either just teeter you on the edge of cringe where you still want to enjoy it, or just completely knock you off the boat. But I think there's a lot of great in this show, and The Curse definitely deserves your time.
Definitely. I'm right there with you guys. It's a watch it. I really hope that this show becomes massive, because I can't wait to see what the conversations are going to be like week to week. This is where I'm really missing, that 20 that 2013, 2014 Twitter era where people would just be like talking about things nonstop and having that discourse, because there's some great conversations to be had. But hey, make sure you join our Discord because we're going to be having those conversations week to week there. Thank you so much for listening to our review of The Curse. Like we said, the show is going to be premiering on Paramount Plus here in Canada on November 10th, as well as Showtime in the States on November 10th with new episodes weekly. Make sure you follow us on all social media platforms at The MUBI Podcast. Our show notes below have everything that you need to know to follow us on socials. Wherever you want to follow The MUBI Podcast, we will be there. We have lots of reviews. We have lots of interviews coming your way. This is a huge week here on The MUBI Podcast. We have like 4 screenings, 17 interviews, and a partridge in a pear tree probably. There's lots going on. So you want to make sure you're following us on social media to stay tuned with everything that we have coming your way. That was this time with The MUBI Podcast, and we'll see you next.